The vastness of the ocean often served as the stage for dramatic clashes between naval titans. During World War II, a new chapter in naval warfare was being written: the rise of the aircraft carrier. These floating fortresses, capable of launching waves of aircraft, challenged the long-held dominance of the mighty battleship. While history remembers countless battles where carriers reigned supreme, a lesser-known encounter in the icy waters of the North Sea reminds us that the old guard didn't go down without a fight. On June 8, 1940, a fierce duel unfolded, etching a unique and tragic story into the annals of naval warfare: the sinking of the British aircraft carrier HMS Glorious by the German battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau. This engagement, a rare instance of battleships besting a carrier, showcased the shifting tides of naval power. It was a clash of titans, a testament to the bravery and tactical acumen of the sailors involved, and a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of war. The German battleships Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, sleek and powerful warships, were the pride of the Kriegsmarine. Armed with 9 11-inch guns each, they possessed formidable firepower and surprising speed. These sister ships had already made a name for themselves in the early months of the war, sinking the British armed merchant cruiser HMS Rawalpindi in a display of raw power. On the other side of the battle stood HMS Glorious, a veteran of the First World War. Converted from a battlecruiser to an aircraft carrier, she carried a complement of Sea Gladiator biplane fighters and Swordfish torpedo bombers. Despite her age, Glorious represented a new era of naval warfare, one that emphasized air power over brute force. The stage was set for a clash of contrasting styles: the heavy guns and armor of the battleships against the speed and agility of carrier-borne aircraft. Little did anyone know that this encounter would become a poignant symbol of the transition between two eras of naval dominance. By June 1940, the Allied war effort was on the back foot. The German invasion of Norway, launched in April, had caught the Allies off guard. While initially encountering stiff resistance, the Germans eventually gained the upper hand. The British, along with French and Polish troops, were being pushed back. The evacuation of Allied forces from Norway, codenamed Operation Alphabet, was in full swing. HMS Glorious, having delivered a squadron of Hawker Hurricane fighters to Norway, was now tasked with ferrying those same aircraft back to Britain. Sailing independently and ahead of the main evacuation fleet, Glorious and her two destroyer escorts, HMS Acasta and HMS Ardent, were vulnerable. Unbeknownst to the British, the Scharnhorst and Gneisenau, under the command of Admiral Wilhelm Marschall, were at sea. Having received faulty intelligence suggesting the area was clear of enemy warships, the German ships were making their way back to Germany after a sortie into the Atlantic. Fate, however, had other plans. The stage was set for a deadly encounter, a chance encounter that would have far-reaching consequences. The encounter began at approximately 4 p.m. on June 8th, when the Scharnhorst detected Glorious on its radar. The British ship was approximately 40 nautical miles away, sailing into a trap. The Germans, holding a significant speed advantage, closed the distance rapidly. At 4:46 p.m. the Scharnhorst opened fire, its 11-inch guns sending a storm of steel and high explosives towards the outgunned carrier. The first salvos struck Glorious's flight deck, crippling her ability to launch aircraft. The carrier, caught completely by surprise, could only reply with her limited anti-aircraft defenses. The accompanying destroyers, Acasta and Ardent, valiantly charged the German behemoths, laying down smoke screens to protect their stricken charge. Their bravery, however, was no match for the overwhelming firepower they faced. Within minutes, Ardent was crippled by the Gneisenau's guns, sinking beneath the waves. Acasta, though heavily damaged, managed to launch a torpedo attack, striking the Scharnhorst before succumbing to the enemy's relentless assault. By 5:20 p.m., a little over an hour after the first shots were fired, HMS Glorious, ablaze from stem to stern, capsized and sank, taking with her over 1,500 British sailors. Courage under fire. acts of valor and fatal errors. The Battle of the Norwegian Sea, as this engagement is often called, was marked by acts of incredible bravery on both sides. The German gunners on Scharnhorst and Gneisenau displayed remarkable accuracy, delivering crippling blows to the British ships from long range. The crews of the British destroyers, hopelessly outmatched, charged into the teeth of the enemy fire, their courageous sacrifice buying precious time for Glorious to send out distress calls. However, the battle also exposed critical errors and misjudgments, particularly on the British side. Why was Glorious sailing independently and ahead of the main evacuation fleet? Why were her aircraft not prepared for a quick launch? These questions continue to be debated by historians to this day. The lack of preparedness, coupled with a series of unfortunate circumstances, left Glorious and her escorts exposed and vulnerable. The bravery of the sailors could not overcome the tactical disadvantages they faced. A costly victory, aftermath and repercussions. The sinking of HMS Glorious was a propaganda victory for the Germans, but it came at a cost. The torpedo attack by HMS Acasta had inflicted significant damage on the Scharnhorst, forcing the German battlecruiser to return to port for repairs. This damage would keep the Scharnhorst out of action for several months, a significant setback for the German war effort. The British Admiralty, initially reluctant to acknowledge the loss, faced harsh criticism for the circumstances surrounding the sinking. The lack of air cover, the decision to sail independently, and the apparent failure to respond to Glorious's distress calls raised serious questions about British naval command and doctrine. The loss of Glorious, along with her precious aircraft and the lives of over 1,500 sailors, was a blow to British morale. The Royal Navy, already stretched thin by the demands of war, could ill afford such a loss. Echoes of a bygone era. The end of battleship supremacy. The sinking of HMS Glorious serves as a stark reminder of the changing nature of naval warfare. While the battleships had triumphed on this occasion, their victory was short-lived. The age of the big-gun battleship was drawing to a close, soon to be eclipsed by the rise of the aircraft carrier as the dominant force at sea. The ability to project air power over vast distances, as demonstrated by the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor just over a year later, would redefine naval warfare. The lessons learned from the loss of Glorious, however painful, were not in vain. The Royal Navy, recognizing the importance of air power and carrier operations, would go on to build a powerful carrier fleet that played a decisive role in the Allied victory. The Battle of the Atlantic, the largest naval campaign of World War II, would be won not by battleships, but by aircraft carriers and their escort vessels. A clash for the ages, remembering the loss of HMS Glorious. The sinking of HMS Glorious remains a poignant and controversial episode in naval history. It was a battle that highlighted both the bravery and the fallibility of those who fought at sea. It was a clash of titans, a duel between two different eras of naval warfare. While the battleships emerged victorious on that fateful day, their victory was but a fleeting echo of a bygone age. The loss of HMS Glorious, a tragedy compounded by the circumstances surrounding it, serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. It is a story that deserves to be remembered, not just as a footnote in naval history, but as a testament to the courage and sacrifice of those who served and perished in the icy waters of the North Sea.